Hello Falcons fans and welcome to episode 3 of Falcons TV. This week we're going to interview someone who works tirelessly behind the scenes and still manages it to do with a big smile on her face. This week we're going to be chatting to our head trainer Louise Jones on how she keeps the boys match fit ready and healthy throughout the season. Lou, thanks for joining us on Falcons TV for this week. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you for having me.
Our first question is, basically, as the people will tell as they watch this episode, you're not from around these parts, as your Game of Thrones accent suggests. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, originally from Salford, which is next to Manchester. It's cold, it's wet, it's grey. Nothing much bar football happens there. And I just started travelling in the late 20s and just went from there and ended up here with yourselves.
When you say football, you don't mean our oval ball game. I'm sure you mean the round ball game. How have you adjusted to find AFL football here in Australia and implementing your knowledge into that field?
I've got to admit, when I first started, it just looks like a load of people running around not really knowing what they're doing. But sad to say, I now can't watch soccer because it's too soft, and you actually see the boys that are going down and there's actually nothing wrong with them. So it's kind of, I've gained one sport out of it on one side, and then on the other, I can't really watch soccer anymore. So good but bad.
What inspired you to become a remedial massage therapist and also a trainer here at the club?
The remedial side of things was just when I was working within PT. People get injured, I get injured a lot, so it was just really working what happens with my injuries, my partner's injuries, and wanting to get to the bottom of that to make the most out of our training. Actually getting into football is coming from a fight side of things. We get injured and we stop fighting for however long it's going to be before we get back in, and we wanted that a little bit more fast-paced injury side of things. So we looked at football. The lads tend to have to get back within minutes and they're back out on the pitch. So I started doing my SMA course with Jess and loved what they were doing and ended up here with West Perth, and I've not looked back.
You talk about fighting and getting the boys back out on the field quickly. Is there a familiar character that you often see coming back to you with head knocks or injuries over the past couple of years that you've been here?
Head knocks has got to be Gus Innes. He is our bubble boy. He's a good lad. He tackles hard, but he doesn't really tackle properly, so he gets hit a lot. There's been a few others along the way, like Thrommy and Boots. Boots is where he has to wear the helmet a lot. So,
yeah, of course, talking about Luke Meadows, Boots is a great nickname for him, and I'm sure you've had to deal with him a bit. You started at the club in 2014. What do you remember about your first game here at West Perth?
It was my birthday. We were down at East Fremantle. It was a very, very hot day and I didn't know how to strap. I was literally thrown in at the deep end. I went out onto the pitch, and again, going from the fight side of things, where they're pretty tough lads, to somebody that was, for less words, having a tantrum out on the pitch because he'd started cramping and he wasn't used to cramping. It was a little bit hard to go from one side to the other, so it was very memorable.
And you talked about that day, and we talked about Gus Innes. Is there another character at the club who often comes to see you when maybe their body's not feeling quite right, but you think it's okay?
You're talking about the cramp boy, aren't you?
I think I might be.
Yeah, that was Lynchy.
Aidan Lynch, the West Perth number 40, 2015 Prendergast medalist. 2014. You were you were there in the Reserves Premiership in 2014, the year that Aidan won that medal. That must have been a great experience to be a part of something special at your first year at the club.
It was definitely good to be there, to watch it go from the beginning where, like I said, Aidan had those tantrums because of his cramps, and then they've gone through to the end of the season to get so much out of it, especially with the league side not following through after their premiership. The actual grand final itself for us was a little bit lacklustre. It was very cold, it was raining, it was a pretty awful day to be a sport trainer. In fact, Matt was the one that was running mine and Lulu's coffee runs for us just to try and keep us warm. But to be there to watch everything that happened and seeing basically one of the best things that can happen to the footy boys, it was special to be part of.
It was an excellent day for both all the players and the supporters involved. And outside of the footy club, you also run your own business with your fiancé, Ian. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yep, we're remedial therapy, and we also look after the training for strength and conditioning through various sports. People say we kind of break them and then fix them afterwards. I guess that's a good part of being in both industries. We just look after fighters, footballers, we've got roller derby in there, there's been wheelchair rugby that we've been part of. It's just basically all different people coming together to try and get the best out of their, make the most out of their rehabilitation.
And if someone wants to get in contact with you or Ian to be a part of what you do, how's that possible for them?
Just go to our website, www.dracoru.com.
Perfect.
If you can understand what I'm saying.
I'm sure we'll put a nice graphic in there to sort that out. Lou, thank you so much for joining us on Falcons TV. Thank you for keeping the boys fit and healthy, and we really look forward to working with you here at West Perth in the future.
Sweet, thank you for having me.
On behalf of all West Perth fans and from the club, we'd like to thank all the trainers who donate their time to keep the boys match fit, healthy, and Lou is just one example of that. So thank you to all the team, and thank you for joining us on Falcons TV Episode 3. Make sure you head to Medibank Stadium this week, where the boys take on Subiaco in the second grand final rematch of the year. We hope to see you next time on Falcons TV.